In this next section, I'm going to take you through about 38 geometry words for pre-K up through grade 2. These words are all embedded in the Common Core standards, but you need to select which words you think best fit your grade and the time of year where you're teaching them. Okay, so it starts with the three-dimensional figures, and I think I have a solid here. So sometimes when I'm introducing the words, I'll show them the solid and then take them from this representation to a kinesthetic one. In other words, right here, a solid. So for me, this becomes a solid figure, almost cube-like, and this becomes the face of the solid, and this becomes the edge. And this would be another edge, and this would be an edge, and then there'd be some edges in the back. Sometimes I say, don't cut yourself, ow, on the edge. So we have face, top face, side face, front face, bottom face, side face, edge. Then you can work on these spots, the corners. Again, don't forget the ones in the back. Corners, I like to tell the kids, are also called vertices. Vertex, because of the angle here, we'll get to that a little bit later, but we have corners, edges, faces, and this is a solid. Once you've established that, you can open it up to reveal a flat. Okay, kids know that word flat in the younger grades. This particular flat, it would be a rectangle. And now once I have my rectangle, I can establish that I have the length and the width. The top part is the length and the width. Sometimes I use a French chef for this. Adding accents can make it more fun for the kids to follow along. But the length, the width, and then together they become the dimensions. The length, the width, and I go like this. Dimensions. If you want to pick up diagonal, right across from vertice to vertice, diagonal. Dimensions, the length, the long side, the width, and that would be your rectangle. Later on, we'll cover the inside part, which would be the area and the perimeter, distance around. We'll get to those terms a little bit later in the third grade, but this would be your rectangle. Once you've established the rectangle and you want to get to the other polygons, you need a few other words like open and then closed. Open figure, closed figure. Open figure, closed figure. This one would be a triangle, okay? And that brings us to the idea, of an angle. So it's a good time to introduce the idea of an angle. So here we have a right angle. We might do an acute angle or an obtuse angle. And a triangle, of course, has three angles, 1, 2, 3, going back to the corners that we talked about before, or the vertexes. So you have those words right there. The next word you want to pick up so that you can describe the other polygons is parallel. Parallel never crosses. Intersect, parallel. Intersect, parallel. While you're on the topic, you might talk about lines that intersect in a right angle. Remember our right angle. I usually go right to here, show them on the side as well. Perpendicular, perpendicular, parallel, intersect, perpendicular. These lines intersect at a right angle. So that would be that. Once you've got that down, now you can start to talk about beyond just the triangle, the right triangle of course, but you can talk about your other quadrilaterals. So one of the most common quadrilaterals is the parallelogram. So I usually make my parallelogram like this to show that these sides are parallel, the one across my shoulders in here, and these sides are parallel. So this is also a parallelogram, and this is a parallelogram, and I could even go like this for a parallelogram. Those are all my parallelograms. This one's a rectangle. This one has right angles also, but it's called a square. And this one wouldn't have right angles, but all sides the same. This would be our rhombus. But anyway, the one I also want to get is trapezoid. Now, I don't know if you can see this here, but this shoulder blades forms the top of the trapezoid, and this is the bottom part of the trapezoid, and these are parallel, but these aren't. So you see how this is the trapezoid, parallelogram, trapezoid, parallelogram, and you can kind of go through that like that. A couple of other bonus words you might want to get into is you might want to talk about the sphere. Again, once you show them the idea, then you could kind of make your sphere almost like a ball that you're going to throw. Sphere. You might be able to do pyramid. Cylinder, if you have a cylinder around, you could cover it like this. So here's your cylinder, your sphere, right? Your solid, cylinder, a cylinder, and then sphere. So you have those three dimensions. So you might even be able to do pyramid like this, pyramid. And of course, a couple last bonus words could be congruent, same size, same shape. These are congruent, and we could slide them, we could flip them, and we could turn them. But we would get congruent if they were the same size and the same shape. So those are about 38 of your geometry words. And the best thing to do is just practice with them, get comfortable with each one, and then try them out with your class.